as we discussed in part 4 of Anthology of Houses series about the contextual response within modernist paradigm and regional imperatives that has shaped the house and the program. This phase it brings about some fine seminal work that are not only timeless but has remained inspirational source for generation of architects and architectural patrons. The last series brings about some of the contemporary paradigm and means and methods of redefining house form and emerging trend in contemporary architecture. The architecture in 80s and 90s has witnessed an explosion of interest in field of cultural theory and cultural studies. If autonomy, ideology, hegemony had been the keywords of modern paradigm or identity and contextualism of postmodern world, the contemporary world has dismantled or problematized the form of identity, ideology, and culture as a dominant force of reflection of class and political interest, especially within the study of social science and humanities, focus on study of specific concepts for understanding of specific properties of activity and structure of society. The form of house is undergoing the crisis of manifestation. How broadened definition of culture is positioned against the narrow identification of house form and its aesthetics. A few examples that are demonstrated in this presentation are mere few examples of debate that persist within the cultural studies. Frank Gehry's architecture has no reliable source or a framework for criticism. It embarks on eclecticism as an assemblage of tectonics. The architecture of house does not subscribe to any formal canons. A boring but charming old house was the starting point of Gehry's manipulation. The kitchen, dining room, and terrace were added in such a way that they open up, partly surrounded the original building, while nevertheless preserving its independence. Corrugated iron sheet, metal netting, and plywood boarding create an external impression of an imaginative provision of solution, while generous space were imagined inside. The house design process cannot be represented either in orthographic manner or exploded elemental based drawings. It defies traditional system of representation. The house offers series of jerks and revelation. The final form is an enigmatic montage of exuberant spaces. The house is a formal extension of Mies van der Rohe's earlier experimentation. It is an arrangement of planes that project the sequence of vistas that connects inside to outside. The projected planes also serves the functional aspects of house to maintain privacy as well as visual setting. The house is an expression of time, and designing house is more complex than any other building types as stated by Shigeru Ban. This house is definitely throws the challenge to its user and their perception of house. The contemporary architecture in global context has been changing the notion of house and the comfort that it renders. The house designed by Sven Moulton in Brazil hinges on sustainability and powerful tectonics. The moderate definition of such contemporary architecture is about exploration of low-key technology with high-key aesthetics. The house is crafted with powerful structure and meticulous detailing coupled with minimum program. Such architectural experimentations are rare, but it definitely opens up powerful depth of architectural imagination of contemporary houses. If architecture is a social agent, then low-tech and high-key approach is a paradigm of high ethics. The house at Agrilia by B Group in Greece is set out to capture the new vistas of Aegean seas and terrain. The house stands out on two accounts: dynamic geometry, raw concrete texture, and stunning arrest of views from within. As one moves within the house, it unfolds slowly with energetic surprises of vistas hinged around the staircase. The house offers sterile row of concrete envelope contrasted with sharp arrest of views and minimal aesthetics, constantly creating enigmatic dialogue between what is artificial and what is natural. Architecture of Frank Gehry continues to surprise with its perplexed and anonymous forms. The Snebel House is challenging the notion of monolithic form of house with collection of objects scattered on site. The house is dismantled into several functional and formal elements placed within site with reciprocal tension of form and material. If house is a collective memory of an eclectics, then architecture of house is a dialogue that resonates the time. Frank Gehry houses are constant dialogue of what is memory and what is discovered, and the perception of house oscillates between physical existence and surrealist. Carlos Zapata's architecture is often a counterpoint to what is outside. The house on a beach is divided into two separate blocks, a guest house and owner's house. The response is natural, but not so as one experiences the house within. The house almost gives an impression of incompleteness, as it formally sets itself casual yet dynamic state of motion. Such architectural responses are provocative, as it often resonates conflicts or cancels the forces that are constantly shaping our notion of house. However, it also opens up a question that are these experimentations our immediate need of an architect or time or an aspiration of the user? The brutality of forms and contemplative quality of nature and landscape has been obsession of architects for years. In such situation, the house program is mere an appendage to the spaces that are almost derivative of nature outside. The architecture of house has severely compromised the functionality of various accounts, but attempts to create the setting of spaces that are scintillating with unorthodoxy of inside and outside relation and deliberate on ambivalent nature of response that moves away from conventionality in form, materiality, and functionality. I hope that lecture brings about how architects in contemporary times has reinvented the house program and its formal imagination. Architectural responses are primitive or intellectually thought provoking. Either way, it is a reflection of time, people, and cultural priority. Houses are mere box that absorbs the vastness of paradigmatic challenges. Thank you.